Hello, 7th graders. This is Miss White, and today we're doing lesson 23, solving equations using algebra. Today for this lesson, we will be doing number 1. The youth group is going on a trip to an amusement park in another part of the state. The trip costs each group member $150, which includes $85 for the hotel and 2 one-day combination entrance and meal plan passes. A. Write an equation representing the cost of the trip. Let P be the cost of the park pass. So first, we know that the total amount that each member has to pay is $150. And we know within that $150, it includes an $85 for the hotel and then 2 one-day combination entrance and meal plan passes. So when we write our equation, we know that $85 plus 2 one-day combination entrance and meal plan passes. And we don't know the cost for each day, so we have 2P. Remember, we're using P to be the cost of the park pass, equals the total amount, which is $150. Let's move on to B. Solve the equation algebraically to find the cost of the park pass. Then write the reason that justifies each step using if-then statements. So remember, in the equation that we just wrote above, P represents the cost of the park pass. So we want to find what P represents in this equation. To do that, we need to get P by itself. So we are going to be using our if-then statements. So we know if 85 plus 2P equals 150, then we use the subtraction property of equality for the additive inverse of 85. So I have 85 minus 85 plus 2P equals 150 minus 85. Because remember, what we do to one side, then we have to do to the other. If we have 0, because we get 0 from 85 minus 85, plus 2P equals 150 minus 85, and that is going to give us 65. Then we know that 2P equals 65. If we know that 2P equals 65, then we're going to use the multiplication property of the equality using the multiplicative inverse of 2. So the inverse of 2 is going to be 1/2. Then 1/2 times 2P equals 1/2 times 65. Again, remember what we have to do to one side, we have to do to the other. Then if 1P, because remember, when we multiply inverses together, we get an answer of 1. So if we have 1P equals 65 over 2. When I have 65 over 2, I know that 2 goes into 6 3 times. And then I'm going to bring down my 5. How many times does 2 go into 5? Well, that's 2 times. Then I'm going to bring down a 0. And I have 2 goes into 10 5 times. So I now know that if 1P equals 32 32.5, then P equals 32.5, which now we know that the park pass costs $32.50. Now real quick, let's review this problem. We see that we have our equation, and then we take, go ahead and write this down, okay? We take the subtraction property of equality for the additive inverse of 85. So then when we do that, we have if 0 plus 2p equals 65, then 2p equals 65. If 2p equals 65, then we have to take the multiplication property of equality using the multiplicative inverse of 2. Then when we multiply our 1/2 and 2p and our 1/2 and 65, we get 1p equals 32.5. And then we know that p equals 32.5. Let's go ahead and do C. So C says, model the problem using a tape diagram to check your work. So first of all, we need to know that our tape diagram needs to represent the whole amount that the trip cost. So here is my box, and I know that the whole trip is going to cost each person $150. I know that from that $150, that $85 is going to go towards the hotel fee. And then I know that the other two costs are for the park pass, and that those are going to be the same value. So I have park pass and park pass. Now, I'm going to take the total cost of my trip and subtract it from the fee that I know of, which I know the fee of the hotel is $85. So I have $150 minus 85. And when I do that math, it is going to give me $65. Now, that means that for both these park passes, it's going to cost me a total of $65. To find out how much they cost individually, I'm going to take 65 and divide it by 2. When I have 65 divided by 2, it is going to get me 32.5. So here again, we checked our work to know that each park pass here is still going to equal $32.50. All right, let's start on the next page. Suppose you want to buy your favorite ice cream bar while at the amusement park and it costs $2.89. If you purchase the ice cream bar and 3 bottles of water, pay with a $10 bill and receive no change, then how much did each bottle of water cost? D, it says write an equation to model this situation. So first of all, we know that we are paying for an ice cream bar. We're only paying for one, and the ice cream bar is $2.89. Then we are buying 3 bottles of water. So we can say that we are buying 3 bottles of water, and we can use W to represent the cost of 1 water bottle. Okay. Well, how much was the total money I had? Well, we paid with a $10 bill. So that is how much money that we paid for our ice cream and our 3 bottles of water. Let's move on to E. Solve the equation to determine the cost of 1 water bottle. Then write the reason that justifies each step using if-then statements. So like before, we're going to start off with the equation that we had just solved for D. I know if 2.89 plus 3W equals 10, then first I need to subtract the property of equality for the additive inverse of 2.89. So then I have 2.89 minus 2.89 plus 3W equals 10 minus 2.89. Okay, remember that it's important to what we do on one side, we have to the other. And again, this is the subtraction property. Of equality for the additive inverse of 2.89. All right, so now we know that if 0, because 2.89 minus 2.89 is going to give us 0, if 0 plus 3W equals 10 minus 2.89, well, when I do 10 minus 2.89, I'm going to get 7.11. Then I know that 3W equals 7.11. Okay, and this is called our additive identity. Now, if we have 3W equals 7.11, then we need to take the multiplication property of equality using the multiplicative inverse of 3. Well, then the inverse of 3 is going to be 1/3. So now I have 1/3 times 3W equals 1/3 times 7.11. Remember, what we have to do to one side, we do to the other. And this part, again, is the multiplication property of equality using the multiplicative inverse of 3. Now, when I multiply our inverses together, we are going to get a value of 1. So if 1W equals, well now this one's tricky. I have 1/3 times 7.11. When I solve for this fraction, I get 7.11 over 3. That means I need to divide for it. So I have 7.11 divided by 3. How many times does 7 go into 3? Well, that is 2 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Then I'm going to bring down my other one. How many times does 3 go into 11? That is 3 times. Make sure to put our decimal there. And 3 times 3 is 9. Minus 2. Then bring down my next one, and now I have 21, and 3 goes into 21 7 times. So now I know if 1W equals 2.37, then we use the multiplicative identity of W equals 2.37. All right, now I know that a bottle of water cost $2.37. Just like in this last problem, let's go ahead and go to F. It says model the problem using a tape diagram to check your work. So first of all, we know that the total cost of what we paid for was $10. And so when we draw our box, where it is representing the whole total cost, which is $10. Great. Now we know that our first cost for our ice cream was $2.89. And then we bought 3 water bottles that are of the same value. So we can just call them water, water, and water. Great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my total cost, which was $10, and subtract it from the cost that we know of the ice cream bar, which was $2.89. 10 minus 2.89 is going to give us 7.11. Then I know that 7.11 represents the total cost of my 3 water bottles. So to find out the value of each of my boxes that represent water, I'm going to take 7.11 and divide it by 3. Now again, we can look at the work that we did above here when we had 7.11 divided by 3, and there we got an answer of 2.37. Great. So our lesson summary for lesson 23 is that our equations are useful to model and solve real-world problems. The steps taken to solve an algebraic equation are the same steps used in an arithmetic solution. All right, good job today, 7th graders. I will see you in class.